Today marks 24 years since we lost Phil Shao. Fucking love you, Phil. This episode's dedicated to you. What's up, everybody? This is Schmitty with another episode of Talkin Schmit, and today it's not just another episode. We got Jason Adams, episode 170, and my first episode in person since the pandemic. Driving down to San Jose right now, fired up.
Head on down to your local shop. Ask Blood Wizard Skateboards. Or visit bloodwizard.com for all your conjuring needs.
Tickety-tack.
Hey, it's Corey at Blue Plate, 3218 Mission Street. Come see us. Meatloaf, fried chicken, deviled eggs, Dollar Olympia beers. We're here every day of the week. We got a garden and we got smiles on our faces. Come let us make you happy.
Jason Adams here, and you are tuned in to Talkin Schmit.
Holy cannoli.
It's cool, like tonight is the night.
Yeah.
Big dog's in.
Do we really want to be here?
Everything's changed.
We on? Schmitty?
Talkin Schmit.
Talkin Schmit, dude!
You gonna come out different.
Shit my pants, lad.
The Rolodex is fucking deep.
Holy shit.
It's about the ones.
Who is this guy? Thinks he's tough shit.
What's up?
Come on, Schmitty, what the fuck?
Tell the skateboard police to come get me.
What is happening?
Let's hear it for Greg Smith. Yay! Hello. What's up, everybody? This is Schmitty with Talkin Schmit, and we are live in the studio of my next guest. This is my first in-person podcast since the pandemic, so stick with me on this. We got a good one today. This is episode 170, and we got Jason Adams with us. What's up?
Hello, Schmitty. Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. Stoked to do this.
Me too.
I'm really curious. What I want to hear mostly about is the old days.
Okay.
I want to hear about Jason Adams as a little kid, getting the nickname The Kid, having like the first stoke on a skateboard, like some of these early moments for you. You were born and raised in the 408?
Pretty much. I was actually born in Connecticut. New London, Connecticut.
Alright.
Along with Donnie Barley and I think me, Donnie Barley, and Brian Anderson were all from the same town, like born in the same hospital or something.
Shout out to Tim Upson.
Shout out.
But my parents moved back here when I was like 2.5 or something. They were from here. And I've been here ever since for the most part.
So you got your first skateboard here.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what was the scenario? Was there kids at school? Was it a Christmas present?
I always liked skateboarding from a young age. Like I remember when my sister was born, my grandpa bought me a little plastic board because I saw skateboarding on TV, I think. It was 1977. But, that's not getting into skateboarding. And then my whole childhood growing up, I always would see the skaters, in the 80s, just like, fuck, that's so fucking cool, with the big boards and shit. I was just like, I gotta get one of those. But, like, it's not like now kids go, Mom, I want a fucking skateboard. It's like tough shit, So I didn't get like a real skateboard until I was just before I turned 13. And I think that's the age that everybody kind of gets that point, like, what am I doing with myself, and what am I trying to find yourself or whatever. So I finally like sold a bunch of shit in a garage sale. My parents had a garage sale, and I sold a bunch of shit. And I bought it wasn't even a good board. It was like an Action Sports Kamikaze or something like that. But it was a wide board with urethane wheels, with closed bearings, with copy tracker trucks. And that was it.
What was for me and my friends, when we first got boards, we lived across the street from a school, and we would go to the school, we'd climb over the fence on the weekends, and they had these smooth hallways, and they were kind of on a slope, and we would just push our ass, go as fast as we could, and we would learn layback slides. I'm pretty sure that was the first example of me getting rad, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
Well, I remember I grew up right by this parking lot, Alpha Beta grocery store. So I'd go there with my mom, or I'd ride my bike there to get milk for my mom or whatever. You know, it's just the local, really close to my house. And that's where the skaters hung out. So I would go there and just kind of watch them, you know, and just kind of watch. And then that really pushed me to want to get into it, you know. So I finally got that board, and I just would skate in front of my house. I waxed the curb because I saw them. I saw what they did, you know what I mean? They were hitting the curbs in front of the liquor store at Alpha Beta. And so I just went home and waxed my curb and tried to learn the boneless. I would watch them do like those things, like go up the wall with your hand on the ground and shit like that. So,
Hazard.
Yeah, hazards, all that kind of stuff. And so I would just kind of go over there and watch them, and then go back to in the front in my little court that I lived in. And I remember the first thing I ever learned, I saw someone do it at Alpha Beta, put my hand on the ground, grabbed the nose, and just kind of got my backside up on the curb. That was the first kind of trick I learned.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it didn't take me long till I kind of integrated into that crew of people at Alpha Beta, you know.
Was there anybody in that crew that still, like, that you learned later?
Salman was one of the dudes in the crew.
Really?
Yeah. So I didn't realize it was like kind of a heavy little thing going on there. But I mean, that was still when Salman and all those guys were still young in high school, you know.
Yeah.
But then after hanging out there and starting to learn what was going on, it was like, oh, okay, that's Mike Prosenko. He was sponsored by Santa Cruz. That's Joe Conti. He's like Cab's right hand man. Caballero would show up here and there, you know, that kind of stuff. So it kind of, I went from just being a little grommet and kind of meeting those guys, and then I had a crew of friends, but for some reason those guys liked me for whatever reason, and they didn't give me shit, you know. They would kind of give my friends shit, you know, and I just kind of integrated into there and with them.
What was Solomon? Where was he living? Saratoga?
No, we lived in Almaden. Like Solomon lived like not even a mile from where I lived, and it was like he lived here, I lived here, Alpha Beta was here. And then his dad owned a restaurant bakery in that same shopping center. The whole world revolved around Alpha Beta Shopping Center. It was like people there all the time. I would just open my window from my room and listen. Oh, I could hear him skating, I'm going, you know. And it was like back then in like it was back like a movie where kids could take over a fucking supermarket parking lot. Sometimes you go there, there's like 30 people there, there's music, there's chicks hanging out, you know what I mean? There's like jump ramps, rail slide bars, and it just was like they just owned the fucking shopping center. That was what was going on, you know? And like I said, I would see these sponsored guys come, and so I was kind of around all that stuff from an early age.
Was Go Skate around? What was the skate shop? It was before Sessions, right?
No, Sessions was going on, but Sessions was all the way in Sunnyvale.
Okay.
But I mean, everyone knew about Sessions. Like Sessions was the coolest thing in town because it's like they had like that crazy team, Caballero and like Chris Miller, and like all the good guys rode for Sessions.
Yeah.
But my shop was Grimmick in Los Gatos.
Oh, Grimmick, yeah.
But Go Skate was closer, so it was like Go Skate Grimmick. But I became friends with the Grimmick crew. And there was also Winchester, which was Simon Woodstock's shop, which is really close to here. And that I actually ended up getting sponsored by Winchester. That was my first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew Simon pretty early on.
I met him through Winchester, because Solomon got sponsored by Winchester. So I started, and Solomon drove during this one time, you know, like he had a car at 16, so I just became, I've talked about this before, like his little sidekick, you know, because he was fully mature and grown, and I was just this 5 foot tall little shy kid, you know, awkward shy kid. So he'd be like, we're going to hang out with the Winchester guys. Okay, you know, we're going to skate the warehouse. Well, what's that? Okay, you know, like I knew nothing and Salman knew everything.
What was the first skate park you remember going to?
Derby.
Really?
Yeah. It was the only one around.
Uh-huh.
So I remember riding, like we'd pack in this one dude's little pickup truck, you know, like 5 dudes in the back of a pickup truck going over the hill to go skate derby. My mom, actually, I think the first time I went, my mom took me when I was 13.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember like pulling up and seeing
Oh,
it?
dude, terrified.
Oh, was there big sessions?
Huge sessions, and this is, you know, going back to like how things were then, it was like no one gave you the right of way being a little kid. You kind of went there and you were lucky to get a run in, you know, like it was like, and you would go, and really big on the dish, it said like, San Jose, go home. You know, it was like, once again, I've said it before, like an 80s movie, it was like, fuck you valleys,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of our fucking, get off our waves, basically. So yeah, it was extremely intimidating, but as a kid, I never felt discouraged. You know, like I was like, this is how it is. I got to learn to get in there. That's how it was. Everyone's like, oh, Mom, they're not letting me skate. Like you see now, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I just got to learn. I got to watch what they do. I got to hear how it goes. I got to figure out how to, you know, get in there, and you know, and so I was never really frustrated. It was just like, this is how it is. I got to learn how to deal with this.
Do you think like, I mean, obviously, right, that blending with Salman's early, but Cab and having some of these peers that are just, Cab's already Cab, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so being associated with those guys must have helped a lot with your
Yeah,
confidence.
but we're kind of mixing up, because you know when you're at that age, from 13 to 16 is like 10 years now.
Right.
So I'm talking about going to Derby when I'm 13 to where starting to skate with Solomon when I'm 14, and then starting to skate with Cab when I'm like 15, 16.
Okay.
So there's like a span of time in there to where you go from a grommet and it seems like a lifetime, but it's a fucking year, you know? So, yeah, definitely, like just being with Solomon was easy. It was like he knew where to go, he knew when to go, and people were scared of him. You know, it was like, and I'm with Solomon, so I didn't have to deal with anything. I was spoiled rotten my whole time coming up in skateboarding.
Yeah.
Totally spoiled. It was just landed in my lap, you know.
Okay. The first, I mean, you said the first sponsor was the shop sponsor, Winchester, but what about like product-wise?
Venture
Trucks?
Yeah.
Keith Cochran or?
Greg. It was right when Greg Carroll took the job. Like, I met Greg Carroll, and like literally like a month later, he got the job as Venture team manager.
Wow.
So once again, it was just like, I meet the Carroll brothers. So I go from San Jose and then getting sponsored by Venture and meeting the Carroll's brothers and just then being accepted into San Francisco. You know what I mean? It was just like, just.
Did you go to EMB?
Yeah, totally. And I
didn't get vibe too
no,
much?
not at all. Everyone was, dude, I showed up with Mike Carroll and Greg Carroll. You know what I mean? And the first time I skated EMB, it was with Thebo, Guerrero. Obviously, I remember that. It might have been like Arco, and you know what I mean? It was like, and Solomon. So it was like, first time going there, I'm with the mayors and the fucking governor and shit. You know what I mean? So I was just instantly accepted.
So is that, what are we talking about, 17, 18?
16, 17.
Okay, and then the relationship with Greg and Venture.
So I got on Venture, and then like right after that, I got on Santa Cruz.
Oh.
And I was on Santa Cruz just for a little bit, and then I actually had the opportunity to skate for Powell. Santa Cruz was always my favorite company, so I was like, I'm sick with Santa Cruz. But then Greg and Keith started Think, and then I just thought that was a good opportunity because it was brand new. And like literally I would like call Santa Cruz and Gavin would be like, which Jason are you? You know, it's like there was like 5 Jasons on the team.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm just one of many here, and I'd be like one of the first over here.
Uh-huh.
Somehow at 17 I knew enough to know that would be a good thing to do. So I got on Think.
That's Gavin OBrien?
Gavin OBrien, yeah.
He was like TM
He was
at
a
that time?
TM, yeah.
Oh shit, and Corey's pro already.
Corey was pretty much on his way out.
Okay.
That was during that, because, you know, that was 90.
Okay.
probably.
Yep.
And so it was when the vert was doing this and all of its little shits were doing this.
Streets kind of exploring, little wheels.
So that Santa Cruz was just like, we need young street guys. They didn't even, Gavin had no idea who the fuck I was. He just went to Solomon and was like, we need young street kids. And Solomon was like, my friend Jason, he goes, have him call me. It was that easy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So who's on Think when you get on Think?
It was basically in the beginning, it was me and the Missing Children. So it was me, Mindoli, Nick Lockman, Sam Smythe.
Shout out.
Carl Watson.
Shout out.
And then Mike Kepper wasn't too long after that, and he had like the first pro board. And then Ronnie Bertino got on, and then like Toland.
Yeah.
It started to grow. I don't remember everyone's name, but that I remember right in the core of it. It was the Missing Children and like me, and that was the beginning of Think.
Oh man, I can't even imagine like that. Like, is Greg in full rave mode at that time?
They're in full rave mode. Him and Keith.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. You got a first tour or something. Toland told me about an early mission to Oregon where Cardiel was driving.
Yep. The first, it was right, like it was literally like the week after I graduated high school. We went to like a NSA, whatever, preliminaries or something in Corvallis, Oregon. And so when Think started, it was like out of Dogtown and print time.
So where was it? Was it on the shipyards?
It was on the same street as Thrasher.
Oh, okay.
You know where print time was way back then?
Yeah.
And then Dogtown had an office and their product. So like the first boards I got were like blank Dogtown boards with the Think t-shirt screen on it. And I would call Red Dog to get shit. You know, it was like just intertwined. So yeah, the first trip I went on was to Oregon with Toland. That's when I met Cardiel. And it was in the Dogtown van. So it was like Dogtown guys and Think guys. And yeah, that was my first taste of like getting in the van and hitting the road.
What were some of the highlights of that trip?
Meeting Cardiel, hands down, you know.
Chewing tobacco.
Chewing tobacco, and I didn't really drink at the time. I think I started drinking beer on that trip.
Really?
Yeah. But I was into smoking weed at the time, and Cardiel smoked weed, so we kind of bonded over the weed thing, you know, and I had this horrible dirt weed and this stupid homemade bong, and he had this killer green weed, and he seemed like a million years older than me, but we're like the same age. But so yeah, meeting Cardiel, watching him skate was definitely the fucking highlight. And every day after whatever skating, he would always come back and he would like be smoking joints with people, and he would come into my hotel room and take his hat, and he had all the roaches in his hat, like, and then we'd use my shitty little bong, whatever. I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about this shit, but but yeah, that was definitely the highlight.
I remember that shit.
And then just the whole experience of like being in a van going to a contest, and then everyone that was there, you know, it was like all the up and comers that were still amateur at the time, you know. Who was there? Everyone was there. You know?
Okay. Did you know Tim yet? Tim Brauch?
Yeah. Okay. I knew Tim just from being around here and like running into each other, and we'd link up and skate here and there. He was probably there. I'm sure he was there with New Deal at the time. But we hadn't really like connected like to where we're skating every day and then living together quite yet.
Okay.
That was coming with SMA.
Okay. What's the vibe? What do you remember about like NorCal and the Bay Area and just all the different little, like you said, Santa Cruz is like get the fuck out of here, San Jose, but like would you go into SAC and see their scene, go up to SF, see their scene?
We didn't make it to SAC a lot, but so I always knew there was a disconnect between San Jose and San Francisco. And even though early on there was a disconnect with a vibe between Valleys and the beach people in Santa Cruz. Once you got to a certain level, then like that was cool with Santa Cruz, but there was always a special connection between Sacramento and San Jose. Like there were so many people, like when I started going downtown and hanging out downtown, people that were from Sacto that moved here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like JJ isn't from Sacto, but he was kind of from that thing, you know, that area. And so, and there was just, then when I learned about things, there was always like Sacto and San Jose got along. And they kind of had that same kind of punk rock, aggressive, slappy, you know, if you're going to do a Smith grind, you do a fucking Smith grind. If you do a disaster, you do a fucking disaster, you know. If you're going to do a rock and roll, you fucking make some fucking noise. You know, we had the same attitude, you know.
Right.
They would say the only difference between San Jose skaters and Sacramento skaters is like San Jose wears like peg black jeans and Sacramento wears peg blue jeans, you know. It's like, that was kind of like what was going on.
Okay. Who was the biggest influence on you from San Jose to kind of steer you in that direction? Like, do it with authority, go fast, all that shit, like style.
It stemmed from like the O'Brien kind of crew, the people, the guys just older than me, like the Mike Prosenkos, Joe Contis, Corey OBrien, and then there was a huge Sacto influence too, because I would hear stories about the dudes from Sacto. So it's like Rick Windsor and like Ross Goodman. You know, when I was a little kid, it was all about Hosois and Caballeros and shit like that. And then I got to an age and I started being like Windsor and Ross Goodman and
Shout
like
out
Brian Ferdinand and like these kind of underground, like kind of aggressive punk, stylish kind of dudes. And I was like, fuck yeah. And then like learning about Wade
Shout
and
out.
Cardiel and stuff like that. And Tom Knox and Eric Dressen were like, to this day, were like my all-time favorites.
Okay.
You know, like that's what influenced me overall, is like Tom Knox and Eric Dressen, that combination. Because they were progressive, total street skaters, but they skated vert, they skated pools, they did it all well. And to me, that's what was rad, you know. And I never really left that, even in the early 90s, but I'm getting off subject now. But that's what Tom Knox and Eric Dressen were the biggest influence, for sure.
I'm not afraid to bounce all around too.
Okay,
Everything
cool.
doesn't have to be in unison and perfect and stuff. Because like my next question from just talking to you and my first reaction is like, where's Crazy Eddie? Like, where does he fall into this?
I met Crazy Eddie, I think I was 15. Just barely 15, and when they built this Highway 85 right here, they pretty much kicked a bunch of people out of their houses, and so there were some pools going on.
Yep.
And we were skating these pools, and Eddie showed up one day, and just blew my fucking mind, because he just came in all crazy. He's like, "We just stole Vibrin from whatever, Payless or something, so they're all like speeded up on eating Vibrin," and like he just
that was the trucker speed.
Yeah. I was like, who the fuck for one steals Vibrin and just fucking eats a bunch of like who is this guy?
Like, who sent you?
And he got in the pool and he was so sketchy, and he just instantly, like, one of the first thing he did, he jumped on his board backwards and like went up the wall and put his back foot up. I'm just like, who the fuck is this guy?
Was he already Crazy Eddie, or did
No, he wasn't deemed Crazy Eddie yet, but I just met him there, and I might have run into him somewhere again, and we just started skating together. It was just like, I just loved his energy and his attitude, and so yeah, basically the first time I met him when I was 15, it just, that was it.
And later he was living under the stairs or something?
He was living on my couch or under the stairs or in and out or whatever all the time. He kind of became our kid when we got older, and because he never really had anything or anything, you know, he was just Crazy Eddie, and pretty much pay for him and cart him around and do whatever, you know.
Crabtree, I talked to Mike, and he was like, ask him about, I think it was a Scarecrow trip where you guys did like a 40-day sobriety with Eddie or something, you, him, and...
No, Eddie, Eddie wasn't.
Eddie wasn't sober, but you and Crabtree...
Yeah, yep, we did a crazy road trip across the United States and back, and yeah, I just was probably coming off a winter of just partying. That was pretty much my what I would do. I would just party like crazy in the winter. Springtime, I'd get sick and tired of it, go on a crazy skate mission, like go full bore and not drink. and then summer comes, and then I get summer fever, and then start partying again. So yeah, that we didn't drink.
So what's the Daniel hee-haws?
Oh, that's Denny's.
Oh.
That comes from Reeps.
Who gets credited? When do you start becoming the kid?
Okay, so me and Tim and Karina and Jai got an apartment downtown San Jose. I think I was 19 at the time. Me and Tim rode for SMA. And at that time, me and Tim that's when we just, every day, it became me and Tim all the time.
It was mid-90s.
This is still early. This is like 93.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's when I met you.
Yeah, probably. So then I was even 21. I started hanging out. There was this bar downtown called the Red Light District, and we found out you could be underage and get in and drink, you know. And at one point when we moved in there, Reeps and Corey came by our apartment to like, oh, I heard this is where the kids moved in or whatever. They were like curious or whatever. And so I went out to Red Light one night, and Reeps comes and shows up, sits down next to me, and then I just hung out with Reeps and partied all the time. And him and Corey and everyone knew everyone downtown, knew every bartender, knew every door person, and I was underage, so they would just kind of took me under their wing, and then I started hanging out with them a lot. And there was a trip. They were going down for Joe Sib's birthday.
Cool, I guess I'm Joe Sib.
In LA somewhere, and the Odd Numbers were going to play the party. And so it was Corey, Reeps, and this guy Eric. And then Corey's like, we got to bring the kid. And that's what it was. He goes, we got to bring the kid. And then from that trip, they called me the kid the whole trip. They were sneaking me into everywhere. And that was it after that trip to LA for Joe Sib's birthday.
So Corey OBrien.
Corey OBrien named me the kid.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, Corey in a lot of ways, I don't know Corey that well, but from my perspective, he seemed like at least at one era, he was kind of the mayor down here. Like, he was a guy almost like Jake in a way that kind of like told you how it was, whether it was nice or not. Like, kind of talked.
He was. They called him the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And him and Gavin were pretty much, but Corey was the pro, you know what I mean, and he is a lot more abrasive than Gavin, you know. So yeah, you're right. He was like, to me, when I think of San Jose, when growing up, looking up, I mean, it's Caballero, but I think Corey kind of encompassed the attitude more than Caballero did. Right. You know, it's like, that's what I thought more of what San Jose was. It was like punk, aggressive skating, fucking partying, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought of was like Corey.
He took the torch from Black Art.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. For sure.
Was there anything on that trip that, like, was there something that stands out as some crazy shit that went down? Or, like, do you ever remember, like...
to me, the whole fucking thing was crazy. Everyone seemed older other than, like...
Was Fish involved?
Fish was just starting to wasn't quite involved. A little bit. I don't know if he was there. There's only so many people that could fit in that van. I'm trying to think.
Sam Smythe?
Smythe was there.
Shout out.
De Vera, he rode for Dogtown, was there.
Shout out.
And what's that dude's name? He was like a pool skater. Dave Warren went.
Oh, yeah. That's Wade's friend.
I think Wade was pro by then, so he didn't go. I don't think he went with us, but another think guy was Swindell.
Shout out.
Oh, okay.
He had just gotten on, I think.
So that's interesting because this is the thing to me that sticks out is I don't remember exactly when you left, but when you left Think, after that, at some point, Phil gets sponsored by Think, and the reason Phil got sponsored by Think was Swindell. Swindell saw him skating at the vert contest in San Jose at the warehouse, and he was riding for concussion.
I remember Phil.
And he's like,
yeah,
this guy needs to be on. And shortly after that, he and I went to Atlanta for the finals. But yeah, so I'm wondering when did you leave?
It wasn't long after my first board came out, and then I left. And there was another board that was just about to come out, and and then I just left.
What was the graphic? Was it a person?
Yeah, it was like a picture of me on fire, and it came from, because back then it was all rip-off graphics in the early '90s. So they came to, what do you want? I'm like, I want Bad Religion Suffer, and I pictured, I want you to rip off Bad Religion Suffer. But then they had the whole concept of what they're doing using photos with art. Right. And so it came back with a picture of me like this with a drawn flame around it.
Do you remember who the artist was back then?
Yeah, Kevin Ansel.
Kevin Ansel was Think's artist?
Well, he did that one. Oh. Even though it doesn't look like anything when you think of Kevin Ansel on skateboard graphics, I think more of the stuff he did for real with those crazy paintings and stuff like that. He just did put it together or something, drew flames around it, real simple. Okay. And Bryce shot the photo.
So this is maybe before they even had an art department?
Yeah. Yeah, I had, my first board wasn't even supposed to be my board. It was like their first 2 slicks they were going to do. Uh-huh. And one of them said Think Crime. And it had all these guns and money. It's so lame. And then they just came up with a top graphic for me because they wanted something out right away. So they already had the slicks coming. Right. So they just made up a top graphic, and it was like 2 fists, and it had my name, and had nothing to do with it. I just forget that it even existed. And then there was another one that's like Think Sex or Thinks whatever, and it was like pictures of condoms, and it was Swindell. Okay. And but then the Burning Boy one came out, or the Suffer one came out, or whatever, and then I bailed.
Was that straight to SMA?
Yeah.
Okay. When was your first trip to ASR? Was it while you were on Think?
No. Yes, it was. It was when my board came out.
Was there a famous actor there? Turtle?
No, that was years later. That was years later. That was probably like during like creature time or something. What was maybe SMA time.
What was the deal?
Well, so there was this time I loved the movie North Shore.
Sure.
I love it.
Yeah. And
I lived in this one kind of punk house, skate house, and we had like this old VCR and no like cable or anything like that, and I'd acquired a copy of North Shore at the flea market. I'd seen it when I was a kid, and then my house just became obsessed with the North Shore. And at our house, we had a big basement, and like a lot of punk bands practiced there, and then so they would come and practice. Then every night it was like get beer, pizza, sit around, watch North Shore. To the point where everyone knew everything, knew all the words. It was just like a thing, we're quoting it all the time. So then I go down to ASR, and I'm hanging out with this chick, and she knew him somehow. And he was at the trade show, Turtle, the guy who played Turtle. But he's really like someone from the North Shore, like a local surfer from the North Shore. Okay. And so he was there for surfing, So yeah, and I met him, and it was right in the time. I just remember going, I can't wait to get home and tell everyone at the house that I fucking met Turtle.
Were you with Tolan? Because Tolan has this story where you guys, or he at least remembers, following him around and asking about Chandler or something like the whole day.
I think he might have been, now that you say that, I just remember being with the girl. I obviously remember the girl more than I'm, sorry Tolan. But I remember Tolan coming and hanging out at our house during that time when it was North Shore Mania too. So he was probably at the trade show as well.
I got a gold medal in drinking and air guitar.
Who mowed the neighborhood lawn from beer?
Tolan. He came down one weekend. It was when Simon lived at this house, and we just drank all fucking weekend. And they lived right by San Jose State, so it was like all college kids. And somehow Tolan went next door. I think he found a lawnmower. It was like in the morning, and we were already drinking. Yeah. And I don't remember if he just found the lawnmower and just started mowing the neighbor's lawn. Somehow we got a case of beer out of it. But I just remember, and it, at the time it's so funny, it's so hilarious, you know what I mean? And it was like me, Simon, Toland, Alan Peterson, just on a debauched week. And like Simon was paying for everything. Like, it was just, he'd be like, all right, guys, I want to do this, we're doing this. And he would just pay for everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
When does the BMC start? Is that when you're with Tim living?
Yeah, that was around the time of that house, I would say. Maybe when I moved, I was on 13th Street, and then I moved down to another 13th Street house. So I was on this 13th Street house. It was mainly like the punk scene guys. And then, but Simon lived there. It was kind of a mix, but it turned more into a punk house. Then I went and moved to the other 13th Street house, where it was like more the older guys. Like Reeps lived there, and it was like that group of people.
Is Todd Prince involved?
I'm starting to hang out with him at the time. He lived on 2nd Street. Kind of right next door to where Ray Stevens lived and everybody.
And the warehouse was on 7th or something, right?
Maybe, no, or 10th. I think it was on 10th Street.
So from the get-go, were you a part of that?
I would go down to the warehouse. Was still kind of an outsider.
Was that Corey and
Kendall?
And Kendall.
Yeah.
And
NHS kind of helped him.
And at first it was just the vert ramp and the spine.
Vert ramp and the spine, and that was like you were supposed to kind of know someone who knows someone, or you're supposed to pay, and then they kind of loosened up, and you can go and pay $5 if they knew you, and then when that closed, they opened San Jose Skatepark, and that was Corey, and like Andy Oliveira, that was just open to the public.
I feel like that was kind of when skateboarding became like what it is today for me.
Yeah.
Like, I started I saw Alan Peterson for the first time in person at the first, was it called the Kennedy Warehouse?
Yeah, Kennedy Warehouse.
Okay. Prasenko kind of thought he was Chris Miller.
Yep.
Like he had that
totally.
same style.
Yep.
He wanted to do his frontside grinds like that. And Reeps and all the San Jose dudes. I mean, there's a lot of dudes, I don't know if they still skate anymore, but like Namba and all these dudes that skate vert that just ripped.
That's who basically I lived with at that 13th Street house. I lived with Namba. It was like a 10 or 11 bedroom house, this old Victorian, and it had like, everyone had a room, like an apartment, and people kind of came and went all the time. Everyone had like a fridge and a microwave in their room, and kind of, you had your own little studio apartment. But yeah, Nambas and all those dudes, and the Mosiers, and like that was that house.
You've probably told this story a million times, but how did the BMC start?
Oh yeah, back to ASR. We were at ASR. It was me, Tim, Jai Tanju, Crazy Eddie, and Solomon, and we were just at our hotel, and we were in the elevator, and for whatever reason, Solomon just goes, "You're a beautiful man." No, he says this, he goes, "Sean Connery was a beautiful man." Out of nowhere. And we're all just like, it just struck us hilarious. Like, we were just laughing, this like, what the fuck, Solomon? Where did that come from? And then it turned into, by the time we got to our floor, I was like, "No, you're beautiful. No, you're beautiful." You know, and then it kind of just went from there to then, I don't remember exactly how the club started. It just, me and Tim, or I don't know. Then it went back to San Jose, because Solomon didn't live in San Jose at the time. Went back to San Jose, and we just started going, like, probably drunk one night, where like the Beautiful Men's Club had just came to, and then we started going, "You're in," you know, and it wasn't even anything. It was like it was a joke. It was a total fucking joke.
Almost like a drinking game that just...
Yeah, but it was just like, and it was just anyone who we hung out with. "Yeah, you're beautiful, you're beautiful." Yeah, then the BMC, then, you know, my friend Brendan, graphic design guy, just made a logo, and next thing you know, we had stickers. You know, it was like, and then it just came, that whole kind of like creative kind of thing we all have, and then it turned into like, Jai's always taking pictures, and we're taking pictures, and it's like, let's make a zine. It's like a drinking zine, and we're the Beautiful Men's Club. And we have shirts and hats, and, you know, then we start having like get-togethers, barbecues, you know, or there'll be some special thing like Flogging Molly's coming to town for the first time. I get on the phone, BMC night, fucking suit night, You know, it'd be like that. Make the calls. It's suit night, and then everyone would suit up. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Cowboy night. We're all going to the saddle rack. Everyone has to dress like cowboys, you know, and make flyers, and then take pictures, and then come home and make the zine from the photos, and that's how it came.
Are you with Black Label at that point?
I am with, when it started, probably Creature Scarecrow time, and then it went into Black Label.
So, because were you on the original Creature?
Yeah.
It was you, Chet. No, Chet wasn't.
When Creature started, I was on SMA. Russ Pope was the team manager of SMA, or brand manager. He wanted to start something new. He wanted me to go with him. It was me and Barker Barrett.
Shout out.
Oh.
And Navarrete had just gotten on SMA, and then he wanted Navarrete to go. So it was me and Barker Barrett were the pros. Navarrete went with him, and we had just come across this kid, Dorian Tucker. And so Dorian Tucker was one of the first ones, and that's how it started.
Wow. Interesting to see the rebirth of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was it weird for anybody, or were you guys stoked, or how did you feel
I
when
think
it came back and it was like the
I don't fucking care.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't care. But you know, I left to go do Scarecrow with Russ, you know, and then they kept it going a little bit, and then they ended up cutting it off for a while. Did they keep it going? Then Navarrete stayed. Yeah, they kept it going because Navarrete stayed, and then Chet got on, and then I think they cut it, and then those dudes went to 151.
So when do you meet Matt Hensley? Was that before Black Label? Did you already know him when he was in Flogging Molly, or not yet?
Did I know him? Yeah, I knew him a little bit. Flogging Molly, they started a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't think I really got to know Matt until I got on Black Label, because he got on Black Label around the same time I did. It was like me and Mike V and Hensley all kind of got on at the same time, roughly.
Okay. What can you say about Matt? I mean, he's a lot of people that I know their favorite skater.
One of my favorites for sure. You know, I say when he came out, like I always say like Knox and Dressen, because they were kind of there just before Hensley. Then when Hensley came out, that was just like, holy shit. We're extremely progressive, and there's something about this dude. And I didn't know it. I knew nothing about the skinhead scene. I knew nothing about any of that shit. I'm like, well, this dude's so fucking cool. He's in a scooter. He wears these jeans. He's got this, you know. I just thought he was fucking cool, and he was one of the best street skaters of the time. And when I got to know him, he is one of the coolest motherfuckers in the fucking world. Like, genuinely just fucking rad guy. We just became good friends.
So was it a trip when you guys were riding for the same team at first? Were you a little starstruck, or was like, how was that?
I don't remember. I had already met him. When did Flogging Molly come to San Jose? It was right around this. It all kind of happened right at the same time. I had met him in the past with Reeps, because Reeps was friends with him, because him and Corey, when Hensley lived in Chicago, Corey and Reeps and a lot of these dudes around here, there was also a connection to Chicago. So they would go out to Chicago a lot and party or whatever. So Reeps knew Hensley from going out to Chicago. And so I remember going to the trade show one time with Reeps, and then I met Hensley, and then I would just run into him here and there. But really it was Black Label when I really started to get to know him. And then he put me on Inez and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so sick. I mean, we've both been fortunate to be around some rad people and just all the amazing shit. The first cover you got, what mag was it for?
Thrasher.
And which photo was that?
The first time I was on the cover, there was 3 people on the cover. And it was like a 100th issue or some sort of anniversary issue. And it had 3, I was in the middle doing like a crooked grind or a backside nose grind on this electrical box. 3 people are on the cover. I was in the middle doing a backside nose grind.
How did that feel, getting the cover but sharing it, is it like?
No, I was still, I was still like just, like mind blown, And I had the back cover as well because it was SMA.
Were you aware at that time how rare that was?
I didn't think about it until I got my next full cover and had the back cover again. And then when Jake came up to me and said, front and back cover of 2 magazines, the only other person to do that is dead, don't kill yourself, and he skated away. First time I met him, not the first time I met him, first time he came up to me at one of those, he's all, September 24th? I'm all, yep. He goes, it's a hard day to be born, because my birthday is September 24th, so was his.
Yeah.
And that's all he said, it's a hard day to be born, and skated off.
Obviously, you've never lived in this body.
Did you guys ever have any moments that were kind of memorable in a good way?
No. I was always a little bit confrontational with him. And everyone loved him, and to be honest, people are going to hate me. I never really understood it. I understood his importance, and I understood what he did at Thrasher and how he was keeping shit real.
Yeah.
But on a personal level, I always kind of butted heads with him. But every once in a while, he would come up to go like, "Hey, I love you, man." Because I also knew how Jake operated, and I didn't want to play his game.
People send me soap.
I'm not saying I didn't like the dude. I just was kind of like, we just always had a weird thing going on. He obviously didn't hate me because he ran me in the magazine, but I rode for NHS, so he kind of had to. Overall, looking back though, he gave me shit, but that's just Jake. But I would call him out on his shit if I saw it and if I was there.
I mean, to me, when Jake and I started blending well was when I got the huevos to he actually, I saw it in so many people. He gave you shit until you were like this, and then he was like, I respect you now.
Yeah, but he never really gave me shit. Like, I hear like other people were, but I already knew he was like that. Yeah, he never really gave me shit. He would just say weird shit. Something about me, when it came to him, I was like, just keep your distance. I didn't care about being in with him. I didn't care about being in over at Thrasher. I didn't care, I just didn't give a shit. I was young and didn't even realize how things worked so much.
Right. But how many covers have you had? At least 3.
3. All over the wall into the ditch, and then it was the kickflip at Uvis was the first full one.
That's the one.
And
you have maybe a beanie on.
I had a beanie on and checkerboard Vans.
Did that change you at all getting the cover? Did it make you more notoriety? Did it help you with your sponsors or?
Not back then. There was no such thing as photo incentive then. There was no skateboarding was. It didn't matter what So when I got into it, it didn't matter what you did. It was we're gonna pay you a little bit of money. There you go. That's it. Because this is still before other than Caballero, people didn't really have shoe sponsors. Right. People got free shoes, maybe $100 or something. It wasn't. There was no money. So you're just kind of my attitude was I'm just going to take this advantage because I don't have to work, and I just want to have fun. And I didn't really see any opportunity really in skateboarding. So it didn't change shit. The details changed because I remember when there was someone came and did a walk through Thrasher. It wasn't that long ago, and it's Jake talking about everything, and he's walking around, and then he was like, the numbers had changed. He's like, there's only been this many people that have had the front and back cover this many times. There's only one alive. Think about that. And I'm like, coming at me still. What are you saying, Jake?
Yeah.
I'm still alive.
That's good. And you never really were a contest dude, right?
Not really.
Yeah.
I would always do pretty well.
Would you go to a lot of contests?
I would go to them, and so when I said, I turned pro, there was nothing going on, and early on I would go to all the contests, and I would usually do well. And then things shifted, I would say in the mid 94-ish, 95. I didn't catch it because I was just in party mode. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna end next year, whatever. Or this is gonna end next year, whatever. Things started to kind of grow, and people started taking it more seriously. And then, you know, contests became serious, and people started getting paid more from different companies, and there was new shoe companies, and people were throwing money. So then Vans started paying people more. You know what I mean? That a lot changed around '94. And I just missed that whole boat. And then I just didn't even fucking care. And I was still uncomfortable in my own skin. Like, I turned pro and I'm like, I do not deserve this whatsoever. But I took it. Like, how do I say no? But I was like, did not think I deserved it. So I had no confidence whatsoever. And I didn't have to do like what people have to do now, like an amateur has to do now. I didn't have to do anything.
Like I said, I'm trying to not work.
Companies needed young street skaters to be able to sell 200 boards a month. If not, they couldn't even sell their 200 boards a month, you know? It was just like, here, just giving them out, you know? So I just would never, like we talked about earlier, I just was like, I had that like complex of like, I don't deserve, I'm fucking faking it, got everyone fooled, you know? So by then I was like, not idolized, but I really liked Julian Stranger and these dudes, a kind of underground vibe and stuff like that. So I kind of just rolled like that. Like I just didn't feel comfortable in any kind of spotlight or anything like that. And I just then was really just getting into like partying a lot until I would turn 25, I would say. So 20 to 25 was like raging, just fucking raging all the time, skating whenever I could, kind of thing. Like, you know, that's when I met you. It's during those years.
Yeah. Well, I think I was gonna say, I could be wrong, but you and Tim used to come to our ramp in Menlo Park with Corinne, and at night, because we didn't have neighbors and we'd have lights. And I feel like maybe that's at least when I kind of got to know you a little bit, where we'd like talk a little on the deck or something. I'd probably seen you around, but I feel like that was like 94 probably.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, what do you remember about Phil? Did you skate with Phil much?
When I think of Phil, I remember the concussion days.
Yeah.
Like, because that was the first time I noticed him. And it was also around the time when Palo Alto Skates Park came up, was built. So I remember Phil as like long hair, surfy, Hosoi kind of guy. And then I didn't really think about him or see him around too much. Then all of a sudden, boom, here's Phil Shao with short hair riding for Think, just like, what the fuck? I remember being like, that's the same guy as the concussion dude? It was like night and day.
Yeah.
You know, because he was like some stony long hair, woo, like layback Smiths on the Tornado or the whatever, the Volcano, and you know what I mean? And he'd come skate the vert ramp at the skate park, and he just had more of that Hosoi kind of thing going. And then all of a sudden he's just like this insane street skater. And I was just like, my mind was blown.
I saw it happen. He had a vert ramp in his backyard. He was Hosoi. He broke his leg, and he was out for a while. During the time where he was out, he watched Mike Carroll, Plan B part, slow-mowing nollie flips, kick flips, learning how to do it with his mind. When I get better, I'm going to be like, this is the guy. He modeled himself after Mike. Who better, really, right?
Yeah.
And when he started skating again, he just went to we went to Stanford a lot, the front five, and he would shove at the five, kick flip the five, learn nollies, nollie flip. And the thing about Phil that nobody knows is like, he just could adapt really quick. So once he was like, oh, I need to learn nollie flips, he would learn them.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard.
Well, he seemed to have more of an intellectual approach to it. And you could tell just from meeting him, he's a lot smarter than me, you know, and my knuckle dragging skateboarding. But yeah, but I mean, I would see you guys, run into you guys here and there, you know, there's a jam or there's an event but we're never like, hey, let's link up. It was never like that. It was just seeing you guys here or there.
I do this because it's natural, but in the process of doing it, I always find myself going like, man, I don't want to be the grieving host or whatever. But we got to talk about P-Stone.
Yeah.
We both love P-Stone.
Yeah.
When did you meet Preston?
I met Preston. I went on a Vans trip back east, 96, 97. I don't know. It's hard. Around there. He was just the video guy on this Vans trip, and we flew to North Carolina. Actually, I think I flew out to North Carolina early and stayed with Chet, and then the Vans guys came, and then we made our way down to Tampa Pro.
Oh, it was a trip to Tampa.
I think so. I could be getting two trips mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. P-Stone was on that trip, and for one, he looked like my childhood friend Branch, and I was just tripping on that. And two, he just blew my fucking mind. Just the way he rolled. Everyone knows how he rolled. He was the same dude in 1995 or 96 than he was the day he died. Same guy, stoked, drinking beer all day, using his Budweiser fucking thing as a pillow. Nope, I'm good. You want a blanket? He wasn't P-Stone yet. Preston? No, man, I'm good, man. This floor is really nice. Oh, he was just like, I just couldn't believe how easygoing and how pumped he was every minute of every day. And then I don't think I would probably run into him here and there, but it wasn't until I think the year I lived in Huntington Beach, and Chet, it was when I did Six Gun, and then Chet was on Six Gun, and then we started linking up with Rhino a lot, and Preston came along with him. But I want to say there might have been more time in between there. I just can't remember.
Was there one trip that stands out that you guys, or like some interaction you guys like?
Oh, I went on so many trips with P-Stone and Rhino. It was like the dynamic duo.
Did
you know
go
what I
to
mean?
Europe with them?
Yeah, fucking insane. Every trip with P-Stone and Rhino is the best trip. I think the most legendary one was when we did the Route 66 trip.
Oh, Preston went on that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Rick and Buddy too, or no?
Rick and Buddy.
Oh, Rick and Buddy and Preston.
Yep.
That was the one Corey went to?
It was me, Corey, Chet, E-Man. Sorry, dude. I forgot your name right now. Five-borough guy.
Pencil?
Yeah, Pencil.
Really?
Yeah, Pencil was on it.
Shit. That was the Cadillac. You guys took a Cadillac.
Yeah, and we had the NHS van.
Okay.
I know I'm forgetting someone, but that was the core of the crew.
Did you do that trip more than once?
Yeah, I did one on my own.
Because there was one where I met you guys in Flagstaff.
Yeah, I bought an old Cadillac to do that trip. That's where that trip came from.
Okay.
Rhino wanted to do that trip.
Okay.
But I did that in like 99, the summer of 99. I wanted to go to Graceland, and I had bought this book on Route 66, and I just got the like Route 66 like fever. And so I'm like, well, if I go, I want to drive an old Cadillac, you know, and that was my thing. And I'll take my buddies, and we'll make a skate trip out of it, and I'll get to see the Route 66 sites I want to see. I get to go to Graceland, you know. So that's the one Upson went on.
Okay.
And P-Stone wasn't on that one. It was me, Chet, Jai, Upson, and Aaron Harrison.
Yeah, that was the one where I took Iban from Spain.
Yeah.
Me and Iban are chasing Jerhobel and I think Collinson or something. We're one day behind them the whole time. We finally get to Flagstaff and they're like, we're leaving.
And we're there.
And Iban's like, what? And he didn't speak much English. That was crazy. Yeah, so I always ask people what, like, one of the raddest things they ever saw on a skateboard that they were there for. And I don't know all your travel, but I definitely know that Duffel did something on that Route 66 that was pretty hairball.
Okay. Yeah, he ollied off that like pipe under the freeway into the crazy ditch.
Yeah. That
was fucked up. Corey was on a fucking mission on that trip. I think it was the tail end of some Foundation video part, and he had shit in his mind, he was focused, and he just put an ass whooping on everywhere we went.
Who's ever on that side of that keyboard, I'm coming for you, man.
And that's the only time where I've been like, I think I'm gonna walk away. I don't want to watch this. Like you know, no matter what, you know, your friends could get fucked up, but you're like, you got it, bro. Yeah. Come on, you got it. I was like, I'm not gonna say that, because he could die. Like, it looked, for the time, like now I see shit and I'm just like, but it was fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, fucked up. He put his fucking leather jacket on. I think he had gloves on and shit. Like, it scared me. And I actually went away for a little while. I'm like, I don't want to see this. And then I'm like, fuck, I got to. And I went back and he did it.
I always tripped on that because you guys were pretty much in party mode, the whole crew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Pencil was a wreck, you're
a
wreck.
A fucking...
You got P-Stone, and then you got a Corey Duffel that's sober, never touched alcohol in his life.
He doesn't give a fuck. But by then, he was a little older.
How did he get in the car, though? Like, who was like, let's bring Duffel? Or...
Him and Chet went on a trip. Him and Chet had a bromance going on at the time. And so Chet's like, we got to bring Duffel. And I've known Duffel since he was a little kid, you know, from being around here. And I was like, yeah, cool, rad. It was fucking party mania. I wasn't quite a wreck yet, but it was drinking all day, every day.
Yeah.
And by then, that's when we'd go on trips, and collectively, without P-Stone knowing, we were getting together for the P-Stone count. We would count how much, try to keep a count on how many beers he drank in a day.
If we get past 1:30 a.m., look out.
Dude, I don't know how we got away with the shit we got away with on that trip. Like, we had like some sort of blessing on that trip with the shit we got away with, and what P-Stone got away with, and how we didn't end up in jail, how P-Stone didn't end up in jail, how anyone didn't end up in jail. I mean, any skate trip you could say that, because you're constantly trespassing and breaking the law. This was another level of fucking madness, you know.
Where did all that footage go?
Buddy and Rick did something. They were working for like the Ride Channel or something. So they did a whole like...
It was, the internet was already happening?
Yeah, because this is like, I wrote for Enjoy at the time, so this is like 2000 and... Lux is born in 2006. This is like 2007.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. But a lot of Corey shit went to the...
Right, foundation.
You know,
yeah.
Foundation video.
And now, another first impression from Salman Agah.
Morning. Salman Agah checking in with Talkin Schmit about my good friend Jason Adams. When I first met Jason, we must have been in junior high, and we were into skateboarding. A lot of kids were into skateboarding. A lot of our friends that were a little older seemed, in retrospect, like skateboarding was just an accessory. But for Jason, myself, Sean Mandoli, it was our life. You know, it was 24/7. Wake up, skate, do nothing else. Jason was into zines, making art, and man, he could fly. I just have this image of him doing a Japan Air with this Bishkalati flying off the jump ramp. And that was the era, curbs and jump ramps. That's what we were doing. But yeah, Jason was a little shy, but when I first met him, but we quickly became friends, and I think we sensed that we both loved to skate. And that's that. The rest is history.
When did you... Have you always been doing art, like, your whole life?
No. I'm a horrible artist.
When did you start doing it? I'm guessing it starts with stencils, right?
Yeah, well, so, like, in school, I always liked... I sucked in school. I was a horrible student, you know what I mean? But I always liked art classes and woods and the creative classes. I always sucked at it. It would frustrate the hell out of me, because that's what I want. That's all I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be an artist. but couldn't draw, couldn't paint, couldn't do shit. You know what I mean? But I still, you know, would make zines, and, you know, in my room when I was a kid, I would make collages. I was always kind of a creative kid, building things and doing stuff like that. But in my mind, I'm like, traditional art, when I go to an art class, I'm no good. You know, like, so, and all through my life, I would kind of go, oh, I'm going to try to get into this again, and I always just get frustrated. So then I started, it was after Haley was born, my first daughter. So I was home with her all day like a newborn baby, like 3 days a week. And I'd hurt my ankle at the time, so I was like, my brain was cranking, and I started kind of conceptualizing this brand idea, and I was going to make t-shirts and stuff like that. And I wanted it to be like punk looking, but kind of country looking. So I just copied like Rancid record kind of vibe, you know what I mean? And like that cut and paste, Xeroxy stuff. And I just started making stuff and then cutting stencils. I would customize my boards, my grip tape, you know, make stencils. And I started doing this whole 6-gun concept and spray painted t-shirts and got t-shirts made. So it started just out of wanting.
It started with 6-gun.
With just doing it in my house, not for a brand. I was just going to make my own shit for fun. Just make t-shirts or whatever. Just out of having that creative drive to do something. And being home, you know, kids napping, you know, that kind of thing, and being hurt. So that's how it started. And then I just started getting more into cutting the stencil, and I enjoyed. It was almost like a therapeutic kind of thing, just to zone out and spend. I had the patience to cut these detailed stencils. And then, but I didn't think of it as art or anything like that. I was just like, oh, I cut these stencils. Stencils aren't art. You know, it's like cutting stencils. And then I found a book. I used to go to the bookstore all the time, because before the internet, really. Anything you'd see, you go to the bookstore and look at the art books or look at whatever books. Yep. And I found the stencil book, and it was like half of it was street art and half of it was like fine art. These people were in galleries and shit, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, stencils aren't art. So when I saw that, then that's when it got in my mind, I want to do what these guys are doing. And that's how it started. So I was like, when I just started messing around making 6-gun stuff, I was 26. And then when I started like trying to make paintings, I was like almost 30, you know. Okay. But between that, then I ended up, John started seeing what I was making, and he started going like, oh, let's use that for a board graphic. So then I started getting involved with like the creative process for my stuff at Black Label. Yeah. Then he wanted to do the 6-gun thing. So then I basically was like art director of 6-gun and would make my pieces and my stencils and stuff like that. And then when I moved back to San Jose, then I started messing with stencils more and tried to figure out how to like make stuff that someone might want to hang on a wall or something.
What was the first board graphic that you had done, that you got?
The first one that it's kind of weird, because it was kind of like a group process. It was the first 6-gun ones. The way 6-gun happened, because the 6-gun logo, my friend drew the logo. Okay. So, and I just told him, I want these guns, I want this cowboy hat, and I want it to look like it's Xeroxed. He drew it. So that was there. And then the first time we used it was before 6-gun, we just did it for one of my Black Label boards, and then I just took the logo that he drew, and then I just Xeroxed it more, and then cut out like borders, and then stenciled a font, you know what I mean? And then I took it in there, then John kind of put it together. And then the first time was, 6-gun came about overnight. I could tell John had something in his mind going, but I didn't really question him. I just kind of went along with it. And we were at Black Label one day, because I moved down to Huntington Beach to work at Black Label. And then he was like, all right, can you get some stuff together for graphics tomorrow and call Chet tonight? We're going to do 6-gun, like as a brand or a sub-brand. And I was just like, okay. And I was just like, fuck. And so I go home, and I'm looking through my books, and I'm going to Kinko's, and I call Chet, and Chet's like, Chet was going to call me that day, like, I'm over 151. Do you think I could get on Black Label? And I'm like, well, check this out. And then I told him about that, and it was just like that. Next day, I came in with all these pieces that I cut and pasted. I cut out and spray painted all the logos. And it wasn't done. I just brought all these pieces and then brought them to Patrick Nagy at the time, and he scanned them all. And then me, him, and John sat there and pieced them together in the computer. That's kind of the first time I did it. And it was just like that overnight. No agreement, didn't know really what it was. It was just its own thing in the catalog. Open up, it was like 6-gun with like 5 boards, 2 t-shirts, and like overnight, the next day, boom.
That's got to be pretty wild, working kind of with Chet on some ideas and then having John. What's the good about living down, where were you, Huntington?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any good?
It was a lot of good, because like, so 25, found out I was going to be a dad. Instantly snapped me into shape. I was already burning out, like going like, dude, I party too much. I've never really applied myself at the sponsorship skateboard game, even though I've been pro for years already. I'm already kind of looked at as old, 25.
Right.
If you keep partying, it's just going to be over, you know? And I had just like had a span where I didn't have a board sponsor, and then ended up getting on Black Label, fortunately, and was like, and in my mind, I was like, I'd always wanted to ride for Black Label, but always knew I relied on being able to have a steady paycheck, even though if it was $800 or $1,000 a month or whatever, you know what I mean? And I always knew you couldn't really get that at Black Label, but I always was like, oh, Black Label's the shit. And so when John hit me up, I was just like, I ain't got nothing else going on. I've always wanted to. This is my swan song. You know what I mean? This is the end, so might as well go out being on Black Label, because it's always been my favorite since it started.
Right.
And then that obviously changed. But so 25, found out I was going to be dad, got on Black Label around that, just before that. Sobered up and went full bore filming for this video John was talking about, because I wanted to keep my place in skateboarding, because it was, to me, it was going away. And so I worked my ass off. I did anything. That's like when I came up and built ramps with you for your fucking ramp video and shit. I would do anything at that time. I would go anywhere. Giant knew, because then Black Label became part of Giant, so we kind of were like the stepchild of Giant, but kind of the team manager would take care of us. So anytime they would call, no one wants to go to this contest in wherever, in Belgium. Will you go? Yes. No one wants to do this. Will you go? Yes. I would do anything at any time. Like, so I was hustling to try to be able to make a living. I have a kid, and then having a kid, and then Label Kills comes out. And I was like, Label Kills is going to be my last chance. If nothing happens with this video, I'm pretty much done. Label Kills comes out. Nothing really is happening. I don't realize that it takes time for those things to kick in. So I'm a new dad. I want to be responsible. My wife hates her job. I call up John. I'm like, can I have a job at Black Label? He's like, come down. So I'm like, packed up the family, moved to Huntington Beach, right. 1-year-old daughter, you know what I mean? And started working at Black Label. And then the popularity of Label Kills started kicking in. And then I started getting calls, and I started making money, you know what I mean? And just from skateboarding, and I'm working at Black Label, you know? So I'm covering a lot of ground here. Long story short, I end up quitting working at Black Label and moving back to San Jose, because now I'm making good money skateboarding, and I really don't like skating in Huntington Beach. I miss San Jose, because when I left San Jose, like the whole tilt mode thing was cranking, and I filmed Label Kills during the beginnings of the whole tilt mode thing, so it was just any day I could go out with Matt or Chris. People were going out, and it was just a lot of fun. Right. But there were, back to your questions, a lot of benefits from being in Huntington Beach. I was at Black Label all the time. It's right by 411. Anytime 411 has something going on, who's available? you know, go down to easy, 45 minutes to go to San Diego. You know, it was like I was right in the middle of everything and got to do so much shit just in that year that I was there. So there's benefits in that way, because up here there's nothing going on. You know, even though San Francisco's there, might as well be fucking another fucking state.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz is just NHS. If you're not in the core of NHS, there's nothing. There's nothing. You know, it's so. So yeah, there's benefits from being down there, but I missed the tight skate scene here. You know, Huntington Beach was like a mecca for all these people from all over the world. There wasn't. You come to San Jose, everyone loved it when they come to San Jose because the scene was so tight. You know, it was more like a family scene, and so yeah, I wanted to come back here.
Like the tilt mode era was just, I mean, especially when Mark and Jerry were still here, and fuck everybody, like it was just insane. The premiere was like,
for the tilt mode army premiere. I don't even see. I was automatically in the tilt mode army, like the kids that got, you know. During all the madness, I wasn't a part of all that because I had just become a dad.
Right.
So like, right when tilt mode started cranking is right when I became a dad and like sobered up. Like didn't sober up, but like cut off my old ways, shifted gears to a new direction. I would still go out and tie one on here and there, you know, but. So I wasn't part of all of the bunny suits and the raging parties and all that shenanigans. They called me to go skate, or I called them to go skate, and they just welcomed me in, because I was even though I was the same age as some of them, but I was the older guy, you know, San Jose guy. But
right.
So yeah, they had a amazing thing going on.
Have you done any board graphics for some other pros? Like, have you done an Omar one or anybody else, or just team boards, or like what?
I've just done stuff for Black Label where he was like, I want this for a series.
Oh.
So it's like, okay. Or I did a series of paintings, and with John, it's more like he sees something I do and goes, I want to use that.
Oh, so you're not.
I don't really do it for, unless he goes, I want portraits of this. And I go, okay, I can do that, you know. But I have done stuff for like Partnin, and did like some like the artist series stuff with Real and Crooked. Early on, it's embarrassing to look at now because it was right when I started. I shouldn't have gotten any recognition for anything I did art-wise, but because probably I had a name in skateboarding and the stencil thing was kind of new, people liked it. Looking back now, it was fucking horrible, but so yeah, I'd probably done other stuff that I forgot about too.
What's the situation nowadays? Are you like, do people call you, like, if somebody wants you to do something, can they contact you and you do that, or are you just doing your own vibe? And
when it comes to like stuff for like graphics, I usually shy away. Because it's a lot of work, and it's just, to be honest, it doesn't pay a lot. So before I would take anything, but then when I started, like now when I'm going, like, especially after I started doing house painting work and got the concept of your time is worth this much money, you know, and I started comparing how much time I'd do on this and how much I would make from doing art, and what I would do from being not only a house, but like a grunt house painter. I'm like, I make more money being a grunt house painting than I do doing graphics, you know. And that's not complaining, because art's a weird thing, and it's cool to do that stuff. But I started going like, what's worth my time? And I started doing stuff like doing kind of wheel graphics or board graphics, and going, it takes me this much time to do it. I get paid this. I have a better chance of making a painting that I want to make and selling it for more. You know, I started thinking more. At first I would just do anything because I couldn't believe anyone wanted me to do anything. Just do it. Yeah, fuck yeah. And then I started thinking more like smart, you know, and so Now it's like, if I get hit up for commissions or stuff, yeah, I'm welcome to do that kind of stuff. Graphic stuff is hard because I don't do anything, I don't really do it digitally. It's like hard art. And then a lot of times it's like, oh, but can you change this? And oh, I don't know, you know, and then it's like, and it just still pays what it pays.
Yeah.
It's not like when I go do a house job and I pay, it's time and materials. You know, it doesn't work like that. It's like, it pays $300. I'm like, okay, I'll spend 5 days doing that. You know, like, it just, so I started shying away from stuff like that. Unless it was something I just wanted to do because it's a friend, or just I want to do it because I think it's cool or whatever.
So when you do stuff for like an art show, let's say, is it kind of like building an album where you have a theme and you start like figuring out some stuff, and once you figure it out and it's halfway through, you're like, okay, I want to try to have a show? Or does the show come and you have the pressure to build it for the show?
I've always built it for the show, mixed with sometimes having some things left over. I'm just starting to kind of figure it out at almost 49 years old now. Now I'm just now starting to get the concept of being more thoughtful and conceptual and things like that. Right. Before, I would just jump on any opportunity. I felt like I was making up for lost time. Because in my mind, I'm like, I want to do something with this. So it'd be like, oh, you want a show? Yeah. I just would do whatever. And it would always be last minute, just make whatever. And there have been a few of them I've done that were like, me and my friend Sid did something where we had like a theme, and I made the whole show around that theme.
Right.
And then the last one I just did, which was the first one in a while, half of it was from an idea I had of what's going on right now, but then it was some stuff that I had prior, like stencils I had that I repainted, or paintings I started before I went to rehab and I just finished them, you know what I mean? But I definitely came back from rehab with a kind of a different outlook and a different mindset when it came to be creative than before.
Do you feel comfortable talking a little bit about the rehab?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you got to a point where you felt like you were drinking too much.
Oh, I was definitely drinking too much.
What sparked rehab?
I couldn't quit. As much as I tried, I couldn't not drink. And you got to understand, for years already, I had been physically addicted to alcohol. So I don't drink, I get tremors. I feel sick. I can't do anything for days, you know, because I would sober up. I would go through, shake it out for days. I'm not gonna do this anymore. Fall back, you know, for years, back and forth like that. And somehow I'm functional. You know, it's amazing when you become an addict, what you can do, how you can pull shit off, how you can go work all day and sneak drinks, how you can like make it all work, get up, go to work early, work all day, not fuck up. You know what I mean? Like drive around all day. It's like,
right.
When you get to the point where you need it to just to maintain, it's not like you're driving around partying all the time. You're just drinking to maintain.
Sure.
And then I even ended up in the hospital because of my drinking with pancreatitis.
Oh.
Started drinking again. I would have flare-ups and know I'm having flare-ups, not want to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? Like, but I could never get a handle on it. I just hadn't reached my rock bottom.
In retrospect, do you think you're kind of self-destructive, or is it more just like an addictive? Like
no, I'm self-destructive. I was self-destructive.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Bad anxiety.
Right. Self-destructive.
Lack of confidence in myself. Hated myself. Just self-loathing. In an unhealthy relationship. A washed-up fucking pro skater with kids. And no good ideas. You know, I felt like shit, and I drank.
Did you come up with the idea to go to rehab, or did you get an intervention?
No, I came up. Yeah, I just got to the point. I was maintaining for a while, drinking every day, and not only drinking every day. It's like go to sleep with two stiff, strong cocktails on my nightstand. Actually 3, because I would finish one, knowing I'm going to get up at 2 in the morning, shaking, need another one to go back to sleep, so I can get up at 6 to drink the first one, so I could get up, get one of the kids to school, get to the job, drink, sneak drinks. I would already have my bottle, like bubbly water concoction to get through the day, like that shit.
Yeah.
You know.
What are you feeling like at in that time when you're sneaking drink?
Yeah. When I say sneaking drinks, I'm saying like I have to drink incognito. So if I'm going to go work with Reaps today, painting, I can't paint shaking and feeling like I'm going to have an anxiety attack.
Right.
I'm going to make my big bubbly water with vodka because he won't know. That's what I mean. I'm not saying I'm sneaking drinks because I'm not going to get enough. I'm saying I'm sneaking them so no one knows.
But do you think Reaps is going to be bummed if he knows you're drinking?
Of course. Yeah, it's how unprofessional it is. Even though he's my buddy, but we're working, okay. You know, it's like...
So you have that mindset.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering. Because sometimes you're like, I don't give a fuck mindset.
No, I knew, like, I was trying...
Like, I'm just drinking.
No, I was trying to come across like I didn't have a problem. Like I'm not just a fucking moron who wants to drink beer on the job site, you know what I mean?
Okay.
There's been times I've loaded my suitcase up with all my little mineral waters full with vodka because I knew I was going to have them for everything. And then that would get me through, and then I would be able to get my drinks at the liquor store or whatever, because it's no big deal if you drink in the van or you drink here and there, it's accepted. Mm-hmm. So then I would still drink with everyone else, but I would have my shit when I needed them in the middle of the night. I couldn't go to the store, or I needed it in the morning, or I needed it on the car ride. I didn't want to totally come across like a raging alcoholic and always be like, stop, go get a whatever, you know.
Right.
So I was sneaking it just so I didn't look like a raging alcoholic that I was, or am.
You caught yourself trying to quit a few times and feeling like I can't do
I
this.
tried to quit,
I need help.
And what really started happening is there's so much more going on here with my marriage.
Sure.
And everything, and so I think that long-winded was I was maintaining for a while with having a serious, like I had to have alcohol, and then I started seeing me like progressively get worse. So I was still showing up on time. I was still working. I was still doing a good job. And I started noticing I was starting to get lazy. I could tell my mind wasn't working the same way. My thoughts were different. You know, the whole look in the mirror and be like, I don't know this. I don't know what I'm becoming. You know, I could see that I was changing. I wasn't the person. I was lying. You start lying about your drinking, and then it's easy to lie about all kinds of other things. So I was becoming a liar who I've never been. I had to drink. I was up to like a fucking handle jug of vodka a day, and I started feeling like I was losing control. I got so drained emotionally, physically, and mentally. One day I was out here and I like sat down. There was something to sit down on. I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. And I started having this vision of like I'm in some sort of car or cart going down a hill really faster and faster, and there's a cliff coming. And I knew if I didn't fucking turn it around right now, something really bad was going to happen. I was going to completely ruin my relationship with my kids. I was going to end up in jail. Something bad was going to happen. And by that time, it was just me and Lux living here. And I was like, I have to get away from my life. Like, I can't, not only do I need to get away from my life, so stress of life. Because before it was like, after this job, I'll sober up.
Yeah.
After this thing, I'll sober up. Because I had to make money to pay the rent, you know? So it's like, I didn't have 5 days to get clean. Or in my mind, that's what I thought. Mm-hmm. So I just finally was like, I need to tell everyone honestly where I'm at. I need help. Because I'm not in a position to just I can't do this on my own. That's what it was. I have to get better, and I can't do it on my own, and it has to be more. I have to commit to it more than just, I don't want to drink anymore. I needed to go, I felt like I needed to go to rehab, and I needed to get to the root of the problem.
Right.
You know?
How long were you there?
A month.
Is the first few days just detoxing?
Yeah.
And are you medically helped?
Yeah.
They give you something to help?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like certain rooms.
Throwing up?
No, I never threw, I don't think so. I've thrown up detoxing before, but it's when I like tried to drink water or eat or something, and
what
it just
was
didn't.
the worst part? Just mental, or were you sweating, or like what?
You're sweating. You feel like just dog shit. Yeah. You feel like absolute fucking dog shit, and you're just shaking, even with the meds they give you. It took, for me to really start feeling better. They put you in there for like 4 days, and then you're expected to kind of start integrating. But I was still thrashed. Like,
so it's almost
it took me.
Confinement, like you're
Well, you know, you have like, I had a roommate who was detoxing too from meth.
Oh man.
But he was super cool.
But like you're kind of like dealing with your own shit.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, the thing that was cool about rehab is, you go in there and you're just with a bunch of people in the same position as you are.
But is everyone in there because they want to be? Like you wanted to be there. I feel like some people go there because they have to.
Some people are like that.
And I feel like those are the ones that.
There's some people that were there that they're professional rehabbers. Like they've been 10 times. Right. They go out, they do a bunch of drugs for a while, and a lot of them are young kids. They do a bunch of drugs for a while, they get tired. Drugs don't work anymore. You have to have so much, and they're like, oh, I'll go on vacation. And then they have access to some sort of insurance or something. Go on vacation to rehab. You get food, you get a nice place to stay, you get drugs. You know what I mean? It's just like
crazy.
Yeah. The guy that I was in rehab or in detox with was a fucking con man. He was cool. I actually dug the dude, but he played the fucking system.
That's what.
He's like, dude, I could call. He was telling me how he would like go, I want to go to Florida. He would call a rehab center in Florida, and the way a lot of rehab centers are, it's a kind of an insurance scam. So they will literally pay you to go to their rehab to get the insurance money. So he'd go, I want to go to Florida. They'd buy him a ticket to Florida. There'd be someone at the airport waiting for him. He'd just walk right by him. Free ticket to Florida.
No way.
And he ended up there because he was just down and out, and he had hurt his knee. He's like, fuck, I'm broke, I'm hurt my knee, I'm gonna go to rehab. Free drugs, free food, free room. But then there's a lot of people like me.
I mean, there's got to be tons of crazy stories, right? When you start do you get in the circles and
yeah,
kind of
dude.
your stories?
At first, I was like, "What the fuck what is going on here?" But mostly, I kind of got entertainment out of it than like going, I can't believe I ended up here." You know, I had such a good attitude going in. I was just like, I'm ready for whatever. But yeah, there's crazy shit that goes on.
My experience with Al-Anon meetings, when I started going to those things, when I was sobering up and just trying to get an understanding for alcoholism, like, you know, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. This is just who I am, I think, but I started having a lot of self-judgment on, like, I thought my story was so gnarly, and then I get to Al-Anon and I'm like, I'm Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
I'm the cheesiest, like, all these dudes are so much gnarlier than
me.
And it almost turned me away from it, and which was sad because later I was like, I realized like, no, dude, just like the imposter syndrome. You got to just be who you are. You're not competing to anyone.
No, and
your story is as gnarly as it is for you that it'll ever be.
Yeah, I mean there was people that are total heroin addicts and but the thing I learned though too, like my level of alcoholism is just is almost on the same level as like. You know, like I remember like when I was in detox, I would go out, my room was right by the smoke pit. That's where everyone congregated when you're not in meetings and stuff. I'd just go out there with my hood on because I needed to smoke, and I'd just be like, and then everyone's like, I didn't even know all the acronyms and everything that they use. They're like, what's your DOC? And I was like, and I figured, oh, drug of choice. I'm like, alcohol, and they'd be like, ooh, you know, like, because alcohol detox or withdrawal is the only thing that can kill you. Even heroin, you're sick as fuck and you hate life, but it won't kill you. Right. And like meth detox really isn't. You're just exhausted from being up for however long you're up, you know. So everyone was like, ooh, alcohol, fucking, you know. But yeah, there are some gnarly stories.
If you were going to tell somebody that's struggling and they're having a hard time, is there something that you learned through the whole experience that you're like, this kind of clicked on helping me like stay the course and not going back? Like obviously getting through the medical detox and feeling good again.
Yeah.
But what about the mental?
The thing that worked for me, the thing is for it to work, you have to 100% want to be there. Right. You have to want to quit more than anything, you know, like that's like, and you have to believe it. You have to want that so bad, and you have to be able to strip yourself of your ego, your cynicism, everything, you know, because even I caught myself sometimes because, you know, it's very much AA and NA, and then you hear the God thing and you kind of have a knee-jerk reaction, and I'd be like, I don't want to do AA, you know, and then I was like, dude, you need to be open. You need to be open. You have to strip yourself of all your ego and all your negativity that you used to have, all your cynicism you used to have, everything that you used to break down and find problems with it, that has to go away. And you have to just almost like you're starting from scratch. For me, I was wanted to get better, and I was listening to everything they had to say. I wanted to find out what's my fucking problem? Like, why do I want to drink so much, you know? In a nutshell, it's like all the other times I tried to quit, it was like, I need to quit, I should quit. I really didn't want to. Like even being in the hospital for a week with a disease or with a whatever that does kill people. I couldn't quit, you know? It wasn't until that moment on the driveway right here where it was like, I want to, and I'm willing to do whatever. That's the key. Because I saw people in rehab every day complain about shit, didn't take accountability, didn't really want to be there, you know, just kind of expecting the rehab to do the work, and that's not the way it works. Like I have to do the work. They're just like giving me some tools. I have to pick up the tools and use these tools. I don't have to use all the fucking tools they give me. I pick the ones that work for my life. Right. And go from there. But for me, it was saying, I want to, not I need to.
Does at some point the momentum ball start rolling the other way, and then you know, like when I stopped drinking, I felt like there was a certain point where I was like, God damn, I don't miss hangovers. God damn, I'm waking up early feeling good. And those little things helped me to continue doing it. Like, was there a point where you start getting that momentum where you're like, dude, I can skate better, or like I can think straight again, or just?
I do. I to this day I have like all kinds of weird different things like that. It was more like getting things under my belt. Like this is one. I've never done anything like this sober. Right. You know, I hadn't skated sober in years. I hadn't had sex in years sober, and you know what I mean? Like I hadn't done painted sober ever. You know what I mean? So it was all these little things, you start getting them under your belt. It's like, or going up a ladder, you know, you get higher and higher and higher, and I notice everything. I don't count days, like everyone's like, how many days, or how, I actually think for me, I never counted the days. Every once in a while I'll be like, how long has it been? Oh fuck, it's been 8 months, you know.
So
but
like those coins.
It's more, no, none of that shit. I don't, and I'm totally for AA, and I was willing to do it when I came out. I just realized I didn't need to, for me, I don't need to do it. It's more of that every time I do something and I see how much better I am at it. Every time I do something that used to be very hard and I would drink through it, and realizing that a lot of things I did, I realized if I had to drink to do something, then I don't really want to do it, you know? And once I was like, you had to drink through that because you didn't want to do it, and you don't have to do that. You don't need to do, you know, these are old ways, these are old habits. So things like that, like I'm constantly little boom, boom. Why did you need to drink to go out to this thing? Oh, you know why? Because you don't like going out to those things. Right. So now I'm just like, I don't want to do, if I don't want to do it, I don't do it.
Yeah.
There's certain things I have to do, but.
It was a huge point in my life when I learned how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same exact thing you're talking about. I would be like, fuck, we have to do that. And I don't want to, but I don't know how to not do it.
Yeah.
And once you were able to be like, you know what? You guys do it. I'm okay. I'm just staying home and I'm not doing that. For example, I couldn't go to the bar for like probably 6 to 8 months after I stopped drinking. And that was my big no, was like, I can't.
Yeah.
If I go, I'll drink.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That was another thing. It's like a friend of mine quit drinking recently and due to health problems. And he's like, so what's it like going, do you still go to the bar scene? And I'm like, I can go to a bar and it's not a problem. I hadn't gone to bars for years. I was a drinker. I wasn't a partier.
Right.
I fucking drank by myself at home, or if I'm skating or something. Occasionally go out or whatever. And I go, I can go to I've been to a bar, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. I don't feel like, oh, I want to drink. I don't think that at all. I just don't want to go to a bar. I realized I don't like going to bars. Yeah. Like, I realized I'm just not a very social person, naturally, and I drank to become social.
Right.
You know, from that first trip to Corvallis, I was an awkward ass kid hanging out with these older dudes, and I drank not to be such a shy, awkward kid, and that's what sparked everything, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now I just realize what I really enjoy and what I don't.
Well, dude, I'm fucking proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
100%. I saw the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think you and I were talking about doing this when you were in the middle of kind of realizing you needed help.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, I'm not ready. I can't, you know. And then me and Eversol are good friends, and he told me about what was going on, and then getting the updates and stuff and seeing how you're doing. It's like, the number one thing you always think is no regrets. Like, I live my life to be who I am today.
Yeah.
I'm doing it differently now. I don't want to be a hypocrite, but you want to help out people.
Yeah.
And so it's a real slippery slope, you know, and I think sometimes just having these discussions and having people hear them, we're not preaching or just talking about it, and hopefully it can help somebody.
No, and I'll even want to go out. I've gone out of my way in a few situations since after rehab of like, I don't have a problem with people like, I'm not here to sit on my pulpit and go like, drinking's bad or drugs are bad. Like, I don't think like that at all. And I actually don't think drinking and drugs are the problem. And I think that's part of the reason why people struggle. Like, I need to quit drinking. The drugs are the problem. The drugs and the drink have gotten a hold of me. And I'm like, it really needs to be, the focus, in my opinion, needs to be on emotional and mental health. Because that's where it comes from. People don't just drink like a fish or do drugs just because, oh, it's fucking rad, I love it, and then I get addicted. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
They're medicating an issue, some sort of trauma, something. You don't hear a lot about that. They just instantly go, your problem is the addiction. Yeah, the addiction became the problem from this other problem.
Yeah.
But being in rehab and hearing people talk and realizing that I'm not saying everyone, the majority of people that become addicts have serious issues, like childhood shit. You know, like they have emotional or they have mental problems. It's some sort of emotional trauma.
Right.
Whether it's childhood, whether it's their father dying at a certain age, whether it's being in a gnarly car accident, whether it's from being a veteran. There's a lot of veterans in there. Having war PTSD and growing up with a mother who beat the shit out of you is the same fucking thing, you know, living in fear your whole life. You know, it's going to war is you're living in fear, you know. That's my take on it.
Has post rehab, have you lost any friends? Has
No.
anything changed?
Mm-mm.
Everything's the same.
Yeah, because I didn't really hang out with a lot of people, like partying. Like I said, like I was home. I was still a dad, and I worked on whatever, whether I was doing house painting or whether I was out here shipping sloppy hour stuff, or if I was making a painting for a show, whatever. I still had that. I just have the drive to do things still, even with being a raging alcoholic.
Well, what's 2022 got for you? We're almost over.
Yeah, I'm just being a single dad. Decided a few months ago that I'm gonna try to just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to turn my art into a full-time career. I want to still skate while I can. It's not going to be easy because, you know, art's hard and I'm a dad that, you know, I have to make money. But I just got to a point where either I was going to become a full-time house painter or I was going to do something else, because I don't want to become a full-time house painter. And I couldn't skate and make art and be a house painter. So I'm just kind of, I don't know if it'll work. It will work out because, you know, that's my new confidence that I've somehow found after rehab. It might take a while for me to figure out how it's all going to fall out or work out, but that's what I'm focused on.
Okay, I got an unlimited budget. We can go anywhere we want with anyone we want. Where do we go with who for fucking the best skate trip of 2023?
Man, that's a hard question. Yeah, I feel like I've been on some trips. I don't think they can get any better. Anyone with Rhino and P-Stone.
Was the 66 one of your all-time?
Oh, the first one? Yeah. The first one was rad, but it ended fucked up because I wrecked the Cadillac. Yeah, but that one was still really good. The first Black Label demo tour with Mike V was fucking great, because that was the first time I've been on a demo tour where it was like, oh shit, I'm really doing this. Like, it was like turnouts, you know, Mike V is a demo machine, like really doing it. Before it was like, go to the demo, drink beer, whatever, I don't fucking care. Going to Australia with Black Label and Decca, because that was big. It was like, I kind of made it later in life to where I was doing like what I watched all these other guys do, where it was like, whoa, this is real. This isn't just punk skating underground shit like how I rolled for years. But any trip, some of those Black Label trips, when I was able to like pick the crew, Chet, Rhino, P-Stone, Alfaro. But lately I've been thinking it would be really cool to do like a trip from people from my like street skaters from my generation, you know, and like go and do it again, but everyone's like, you know, almost 50 kind of, you know, and like Markovich. Like, I'm friends with Markovich, but we're not like me and Chet, you know what I mean? But it would be cool, like the dudes that are still trying to do it, I just think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, like Pastris.
Yeah, exactly. Chet, you know, and just get a good crew of dudes and go out and do it, but we're all kind of in the same place, right? You know, and go out and, you know, you're not surrounded by a bunch of kids who are just killing it. You know, everyone's kind of on the somewhat of the same level, and you're just reliving, you know. I think that would be fun. That's what I'd like to do. It doesn't matter where. The only place I've ever been outside of the U.S. where I was like, that city was rad, was Lyon.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never been there. We went to Paris, but
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer a long car ride or if it's a 10-hour car drive or a 10-hour flight?
10-hour car ride any day.
Yeah.
I don't like to fly.
Yeah.
I like to drive, and I like to drive.
Have you thought about flying to Europe or somewhere far, like without any drinks?
I have thought about that. Yeah, I haven't. I've only flown once without drinking. It was when I flew home from rehab.
An hour.
Yeah.
But
It's not. I think more of like oh, this is gonna suck to fly not being able to smoke.
Oh.
You know.
Do you bring chewing tobacco?
I never have. I've never flown. Well, I have flown without. I haven't flown anywhere far in a long time.
Okay.
I flew last summer. I flew to St. Louis, but I was drinking, so it didn't matter that I didn't smoke.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really. I could go without smoking back then. I'm like a new smoker, and now I'm a vapor. But now I'm to the point now where I'm like, I really could use a vape right now.
Okay.
But it's better than drinking, so
sure.
Someday I'll deal with that. But right now, as long as I'm not drinking, that's all I care about.
I was driving down here and I'm thinking to myself, what's your favorite Johnny Cash cover song?
Someone that covered Johnny Cash?
No. Remember Johnny Cash had like a double album? He covered a bunch of people, like 9 Inch Nails to...
Oh, when he did those ones?
Yeah.
Well, the 9 Inch Nails one was good.
Hurt, right?
Yeah. But I think the one I liked best, just because I'm such a Joe Strummer fan, is he did he did Redemption Song with Joe Strummer.
Oh, sick.
Which that's pretty fucking cool.
Did you think about a song that you'd want to end the thing with?
We can end it with anything?
Yeah. Well, think about it. I was wondering, do you have any other things you want? Do you have any shout outs or any people you want to thank or anything like that?
I could go on for days.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we're kind of left on that subject. I really can't thank everyone who rallied to help me get to rehab. And which is, I don't even know them. It's like hundreds of people.
Was it a Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, pretty much something like that. Right. And you know, I'm sure a lot of people are like, what the hell does Jason Adams need my money for? But you know, no one realizes just because you have a name on a board. We were talking about this. Just because you have a name on your board and a pair of wheels or something doesn't really mean you make money. And it's not only the money. It's like I told you how I don't go to rehab. I don't go to AA, and I understand the importance of AA because people need support. And I realized in rehab how blessed I am with my family, my friends, and then skateboarding, who all rallied to support me. And now, to this day, that's a big factor to keep me from drinking. If I drank again, not only am I letting myself down, my family down, I'm letting down all those people who rallied for me to go to rehab. So it's kind of like why people go to AA. They need the surroundings, they need people. I happen to have a great family, great friends, and skateboarding to lean on. And so that's really who I would like to thank the most.
Again, skateboarding fucking comes through.
Yeah.
It's insane. I see that. I was talking to Neen yesterday, actually, and he cleaned up and he's doing a lot of the exercise stuff. And I'm just like looking at Andy Roy, perfect example. Like Fred Gall, there's a lot of dudes that have been like at the top of their class in partying that aren't doing it anymore. It's a rad example that you can do it if you really want to. But B, the brotherhood that we have of support is next to none, really. It feels like, dude, I got your back, and you know that.
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
you're ready, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I think the message for me has always been that I can't do it for you, but when you want to do it, I can help you.
Absolutely.
Do it. So, fucking big love on all that stuff.
Yeah,
dude.
for sure.
It's inspo for people, and it's also just continuing your journey. You know, I told you before we started this, like I'm excited to see like what that means.
Yeah.
Like what kind of art's gonna come out, what kind of skating's gonna come out, what outside of that's gonna come out. Like all of a sudden you're playing banjo. Like
yeah.
You know, like who knows?
I know. I'm excited to see too.
Fuck, I'm stoked. I think this was really cool for me.
Cool. It's cool for me too.
I fucking I'm thinking you're gonna put a Clash song on, or maybe a Dolly Parton. I don't know.
No, actually, I want to put a Depeche Mode song on.
Okay.
But not tonight. That's what I want. Depeche Mode, but not tonight.
Perfect. Dude, thanks so much.
Thank you.
This has been epic. It's going to be one of those ones that I look at and I'm like, yeah, we recorded that. I can remember this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah. Thanks, Schmitty.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talkin Schmit. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. When you subscribe, you'll get notifications every Tuesday of new episodes the minute they become available. Also, please leave reviews and a 5-star rating. It's the best way to help the show grow. All of the episodes will always remain free, but if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at talkingschmit.com, where you can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts, beanies, hats, and stickers. The website has an entire archive of all of the episodes, with extra photos and videos. Email us with any suggestions, comments, or ways that the show may have improved your life at talkingschmit@gmail.com. All interviews are conducted, edited, and produced by Schmitty. The intro music is Mary's Cross by the band Nature. A very special shout out goes to the executive director, Cheryl Camisa.
Shout out.
Love it! This is Talkin Schmit, where the Rolodex is deep, but the conversation is deeper.
Keep the wheels greased.